The topic of this video is putting the customer at the heart of your team. I was a games maker in 2012 for the Paralympics, and what I want to share with you today has something to do with that. I think I learnt more about putting the customer at the heart of everything I do through my training as a games maker and through the time I spent at the Paralympics than I did through the rest of my career. As a games maker, I found that I was part of a fantastic team that was designed to provide the best possible customer service. And we had quite a lot of training to help us to do that. And it was made really clear to us that the most important people that were around us during our experience were going to be the people who were turning up to have the best time of their lives. And our role was to make sure that they did that. It was very clear to us that we were the ambassadors for, in my case, the Paralympic Games, and that we needed to make sure that we provided the best atmosphere that we could. We made life as easy as possible for the people who were there. And in order to do that, one of the first lessons that I learned from the training was that we needed to have a happy workforce. If you're going to have happy customers, you need to have a happy workforce. And that was really clear to me. So how do you get a happy workforce that really wants to do their very best all the time, however long the day is, however tired they are, if you've been on their feet for hours on end in very hot weather, which a lot of us were? For me, it was about being made to feel intrinsically valued, worthwhile all the time. And that was in the build-up as well as during the Paralympics. So for me, it was things like suddenly having an email from Eddie Izzard telling us how important we were, telling me that my participation was going to make a really big difference to the people that we serve. I received a video from Michelle Obama, who said how much she was looking forward to coming and visiting London and visiting the Games, and that she was looking forward to befriending games makers and finding out a bit more about what we did and how we worked. That was completely out of the blue. And although those things really cost nothing to do, they made a big difference to the way I felt about my role and how valued I felt. One of the things that I also learnt through being a games maker is about the pace of response. When we are looking at building effective customer relations, and we make sure that the customer is at the heart of everything that we do, sometimes that can get tied up in lots of process, lots of activity, but not necessarily enough change. And sometimes things can take a long time, particularly in bigger organisations. In the Olympics and the Paralympics, we listened to the customer and then we made changes very quickly because everything happened very fast. In my case, we were on a week's worth of work. So we had to listen to the customer one day and make change the next. I learned from that it is entirely possible to work with frontline staff and customers, to listen to their needs and then to make change straight away. Stories can really help a team to understand the difference between great customer service and poor customer service. So it would be a good idea to try and gather some from your own team. Here are a couple of basic examples which are real and true and shocked me when I found them. One from a telecommunications company about someone who was giving up their contract for their mobile phone, who said, "I can't wait for my contract to end because this has been more painful than having my wisdom teeth taken out." That's going to stay with your team if you share something like that with them. Another example was in relation to a child who'd had a picture spoiled. And their grandmother wrote back and said, "Thank you so much for your handwritten note and a replacement picture." And this was of a footballer. "My grandson has already put it up on his wall." So a football club had taken it upon themselves to put something right that had gone wrong. And that child will probably remain a supporter, a season ticket holder, buy all the merchandise, and so on. So really making sure that you take on responsibility and go a little bit further perhaps than the child or the individual had expected will yield much greater profit, much greater relationship in the long term. As the team leader, it's important that you are conscious all the time of how you address the issue of customer service and that you're seen to take it really seriously and that your behaviour mirrors that. Teams mimic what you do. So if you get alongside customers and you listen to them carefully and you act tomorrow on what you hear today, then your team will do the same. It's really important that you show how much customers matter to you, whether they're internal or external, and you make sure that your staff see that. Great customer service isn't about how quickly you respond to a complaint letter, how many people you've got in your customer service team dealing with all the complaints and answering the phones, fixing the problems or offering compensation. What it is about is living as though the customer really is at the heart, because you've made sure that your team is really valued, that they're happy, that they know their product and they believe in it. It is about random acts of generosity, offering something unexpected to your customer that makes them feel really delighted and makes them go and tell people how great you are, how wonderful your product is, how lovely your team, your organisation, your company, your people are, so that you get more customers and you build loyalty. It's about building relationships as opposed to simply customer service. And if you build those relationships over time, then you're building your value and you're enabling your customers to always want to be with you. As a leader, you have the opportunity to ensure that all the people around you share in that vision so that you're really building a successful future for you, your team, and your organisation. In summary, the best people provide the best service to customers, and that will yield the best results.